keep the laugh going. So
We'll
don't
keep it
stop
going.
laughing.
Okay, I'm going to stay reclined.
Good. And we hope that you start laughing with us. So welcome to the Ridgeview Pod, folks. This is where we try to cover everything hope, healing, recovery, and laughter
I was about to say
related.
it. Then none of those things
Laughter
set up the
related.
laughs.
Yes. If folks only could have eavesdropped on our lean into this,
Maybe
they get a
we'll
chuckle.
maybe we'll put some of it back in.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll run it by the lawyers first. Well,
Oh,
Naomi Asher is my guest today. So glad you're here. You're always beaming brightly.
you quit that.
No, it's true. It's
You
true.
are.
We talked about maybe having more fun with a thing like this.
Yeah.
So we can do that.
I think so.
But part of the intent in having you here, I have heard you speak so passionately about your love of community and
Yes.
what it means to you.
Correct.
And certainly your role as the director of United Way of Anderson County.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that passion for community come from? Why do you love it so much?
Oh man. Oh, I don't know. I've never been asked that question before. I think some of it is, obviously people are born with different passions, and one of mine is relationships and people. And then I think growing up here and my dad working at the lab, like I think I just really fell in love with this town and the people in this town uh and it just became my community and very important to me. So I think that was probably it.
Well, I think it really, to me, it shined through. This community, like a lot of communities, has had a hard time
Mhm.
over the last year, 2 years, pandemic. And yet somehow you've been able to really elevate a community spirit in the midst of such difficulty and struggle and confusion
Mhm.
and still unresolved recovery. So kudos to you
Well, thank
and
you.
your team.
Thank you.
So United Way's doing some great things.
Lots of things. Yeah.
Where are we not just about at the cusp of campaign time?
Yes, we are. Oh, what a
Oh.
great question. Yeah, so we are kicking off campaign. We run from now until December to hit our $1.2 million goal. In a lot of ways, this year is harder than last year, which we were not really anticipating. But what always happens, I think, and, I was at a smaller agency in 2007. And what happens is there's a lot of generosity when a crisis hits, right? So in 2006, 7, 8, we saw a lot of stress and hitting the recession. And those who were employed really felt compelled to support those who weren't. Because it could happen to anybody, right? So there was this big move in generosity, and nonprofits actually did pretty well despite the fact that so many people were out of work and things were very difficult. So we saw kind of a similar thing last year is middle class for the most part and upper did very well. So we were still working, but still got stimulus money or, other things happened. And so for the most part, we weren't really out of work. We were able to work from home. And those who work minimum wage jobs were really hit the hardest. So they were already what we call ALICE, asset limited, income constrained, yet employed. So we had this group of people who were already the working poor, one blown tire away from being unable to pay their bills that month. And we're seeing them out of work for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, the quarter of the year. And while there might be moratoriums on rent or utilities, that doesn't mean that you never have to pay it. It just means you don't have to pay it right now. So we saw those bills start accumulating. And one of the worst things that you can do for this kind of population is, hey, here's a big chunk of money. Because some of those skills, those money management skills, those are not prevalent for our low income families. They just haven't necessarily had opportunities to learn those types of skills. So what we saw then was a huge rise in drug-related overdose deaths. We saw a lot of people go out and buy big screen TVs. And there's I mean, you and I could get into all of
Mhm.
the psychology and things on those, on that side, but um, you then see people react to that and say, well, this is why charity doesn't work.
Mhm.
So then there's that quick flip around, right? So, um, nobody wants to go back to work at fast food restaurants because they're all lazy. Well, that's not the whole picture.
Mhm.
So instead of getting the whole picture, what we see is what we've seen all through history is a time of big generosity and then a tightening back up. So we are in the tightening back up time right now,
Mhm.
that's a challenge. It's hard. How do you bring that message to people that the needs are greater than ever when what they're being told is that really it's just bad management on their part? Like, how do you help people understand the real challenges when they're incredibly complex, as you know?
All right. No, and I think, from Ridgeview's vantage point, we anticipated that the worst of times was
Mhm.
still yet to come.
Mhm.
That the carryover of not only an increase in substance use, coping mechanisms that
Mhm.
folks were using, the chronicness of the stress, the anxiety, the duress that people were kind
Mhm.
of living with. The hardest of times were still yet to come.
Mhm.
So, but one of the things I noticed that you did, that United Way did during the bulk of 2020, you brought partner agencies of United Way together to not only at the CEO executive director level, but at like the development director
Mhm.
level, my role. And I thought that was really cool. It kept people engaged with one
Mhm.
another when we were getting all that messaging around distancing,
Mhm.
social, physical distancing. Of course, we've all become masters of Zoom technology now.
Right.
But I thought it was really important to continue to honor that engagement with one another, that
Mhm.
we're really all in this together. And recovery is going to be a shared burden.
Right.
So, yeah, that was, well, I mean, hopefully, maybe this discussion will help, give folks a different outlook on their own giving to the United Way here
Mhm.
locally. I tell you, when I pulled off the financial report and I saw your overhead is under 10%, I mean
Yep.
under 8%, that's remarkable.
Thank
You
you.
guys
Yeah.
are lean.
Yes. Well, there's only two and a half of us. Well, two part-time people, two full-time people. And yeah, we're busy, we're tired. But you know what's interesting is because we're talking about pandemic and what we did last year, we are set up to kind of fill the gaps. So all through the pandemic, it was funny because everybody's at home making sourdough bread or whatever, and we were delivering groceries
Mhm.
to front doorsteps,
Yeah.
and doing things that just my board would say, "Well, that's not your job." Yeah, but it's nobody's job, right? So we've got to figure out
Uh-huh.
how to do it. So refilling food pantries, and I just got used to everybody seeing me in like sweatpants. So that's been a hard transition.
Uh-huh.
I almost wore them today. You're welcome. I didn't. Like it's been
Next
because
time.
I know, like I just got used to being in like gym clothes because I was doing all this like heavy
Uh-huh.
physical stuff for like a
Yeah.
year. I was like moving stuff, driving food places, and
Yeah.
so I went First United Methodist let us use their building because they were shut down for a year. So I just had like a food pantry like all over the foyer.
Yeah.
Like stuff was just everywhere. And Ash Wednesday, they were doing a drive-through, like
Yes.
the ashes,
Yes.
and I fully just rolled up in a hoodie and shorts and like UGG boots, like fake Uggs. And I come running down the stairs and I was like, "Oops, I'm so sorry." And I run back up to my car and I was like, "I just had no idea that this was like a real thing." Like people were
During the
dressed
Holy
and
of
like,
Holies.
yeah, and I was like, "I'm so sorry." But my pastor, who knows me very well, he just came up and he was like, "Jesus has seen you in shorts.
Yeah.
It's okay." So, yeah, we've done a lot of really strange things over the
Yeah.
last year, just like filling in the gaps where we
Yeah.
need to. And we've always been, we like to believe that we're the mortar between the bricks. So
Yeah.
Ridgeview, AdFac, Torch,
Mhm.
like you're the bricks, and we just fill in those gaps. Like we're the mortar around to
Well,
make sure that you can do your job.
that's beautifully said. We certainly, Ridgeview is a beneficiary of United Way donations through our indigent medication management program, and it is a gap filler. Exactly what you said. It helps connect people with the psychiatric assessment and the med management services they need until we can hook them up with the insurance or behavioral health safety net or what have you. So, uh, but I love that metaphor of the mortar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really neat. So tell me about as you look down the road, are you hopeful? Are you, oh boy, this is going to be a longer haul than I thought. What's your outlook
Depends on the day.
on the day?
I feel good today because I'm with you. I
Oh,
just feel much more
that's
hopeful.
why we
Anytime
need to
I'm
do
around
this
you, I
more
feel more
often.
well, so when you were saying that about getting people together, that started out very self-serving. I realized how lonely I was. And then I thought, well, I wonder who else is lonely. And so then it was kind of like, how do we continue to have community
Mm-hmm.
and support? And so now, as we do look down this road to recovery, a lot of our teens are struggling with suicidal ideation, with depression,
Mm-hmm.
and I think part of that is everything just piles on.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've been disconnected from your friends, then you have to kind of try to figure out how to reconnect. And so we're going through a very different time. I think that we haven't anticipated necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, like you, probably knew this was going to come, but others, we just think, oh, we go back to life as usual. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the road to recovery will be longer in many ways that are
Mm-hmm.
unanticipated. So now we're trying to provide that level of support to school systems, to other groups that need to kind of understand the psyche behind why we're going through what we're going through now. And I think financially it's going to be a long road. I think regaining the trust of people in the community, to show that there are programs that do work. There's so much division right now as
Mm-hmm.
well, not just politically, but just on everything. We don't communicate, I think, very well. Um, and back to talking about social media and the blackout yesterday, we have all kind of created these social systems that tell us what we want to hear, and we
Mm-hmm.
surround ourselves only with people
Mm-hmm.
that
The echo
think the same
chamber.
way. Yeah, so we're living in these echo chambers of, well, everybody believes this. Then when you meet somebody in real life who doesn't, you just don't even know what to do with that. Like, what do you mean you don't believe this? So then we can't communicate. We just yell at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's all this division and then you kind of believe charity is this one way, how
Mm-hmm.
do we then regain
Mm-hmm.
um that support, regain that trust
Mm-hmm.
that 2020, maybe, none of us handled it well.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. There's not
Well,
one person that handled it well.
yeah,
So,
as you said, we are hardwired for connection.
mm,
And I'm glad there are agencies like United Way, there are people like you that are stewards of that connection. And we'll figure it out. I think we are figuring it out. As we kind of move to wrap up, I want two commitments from you.
wrap up already.
So, one,
Yes.
you brought up social media. So, yeah, come back. Let's talk about your social media
Yeah.
usage
Okay.
or not. I think there's a lot of rich, helpful information that a lot of people are wrestling with.
Hmm.
And I think you're right. There is a divisiveness out there that is very troubling. Um, so that's one. The other is now, folks, guests to this podcast are all too aware of our upcoming 5K. And I know that you are a faithful participant
Mhm.
every year.
I'm registered already.
Registered already.
Mhm.
Have you registered? Have you registered? That's the question.
I hope you have.
And this year, we're introducing a best costume participant, whether you're a volunteer or a walker, runner,
Okay.
racer.
Okay.
So I look forward to seeing your costume.
So now you're saying I have to run it and dress up.
Yes,
Okay.
Belle.
Oh, I do. I may or may not already have a Belle costume,
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
as
It
in the
is.
princess.
Okay. All right. All right.
It
I,
might be okay to run it, actually. I need to go home and look at it. It's not long. It's a short one. It's a short version.
Well, Naomi, it's as I said, you
What?
guys are doing great work. It's great to see you. It's great to have you come in. I would love to have you back.
I would love to come back, but I would also love to know what your costume is.
Well, as the race director, I'll have to give that some thought and consult with my key advisor, Brutus, on that particular outfit. Uh, So, how about this? Certainly, after the campaign is over, so it
Mhm.
concludes at the end of December,
Yep.
come back and let's
Yeah.
talk about what was
Yeah.
raised. And Ridgeview's campaign begins. Usually, we do it right around the Thanksgiving period of time. Uh, and we'll maybe that'll be an opportunity for us to also present our contribution to the
I would love
campaign.
it.
So,
I would love it.
all right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in, and thank you for tuning in once again, friends. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell so that you get notification of each week's episode. We hope you'll be good stewards of your own mental health and take care. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.